Well, hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. We are here. We are live right now on Sunday, September 22nd, right now at 5 o'clock. Rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated. How are you doing, Marshall? I'm back from the grave. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. I am glad that you're back. We've had a lot of days off,
Yes,
and
we
it is
have.
time to get back in the saddle, Scott. It's time to do
Yep,
this.
sharing this to our pages right now, I'm sharing this to the Kerncast page, and I'll be monitoring the Kerncast page for comments. So in case people are
Well, there you
commenting,
go.
I'll be monitoring on there, so you guys can go to Kerncast and check it out, and I'll be monitoring on there. But yes, basically what happened about 19 years ago was the first time I had this condition. It's called atrial fibrillation or AFib. The first time it happened, my heart went out of rhythm. It gets like a shortness of breath. I feel a tightness in my chest, get a little dizzy. And then sometimes I could feel my heart beating in my chest really hard. This time it didn't do that. It wasn't beating hard. It was just out of rhythm. You could just feel it, but and the problem that happens is that if it doesn't go back into rhythm, what's happening is that half of the heart is not actually pumping, or one side of the heart is not actually pumping. So blood is not circulating. So you're not getting enough oxygen. That's why you're feeling dizzy and stuff like that. But then also if the blood doesn't circulate, if it goes too long, you can start to get blood clots because it's not moving, and then a blood clot can go to your brain and give you a stroke. So that's the danger of this. And the first time it happened was 19 years ago. Jennifer was pregnant with our firstborn, and we didn't know what was going on. It was out of nowhere. I started taking medication. And then 2006, it happened again. Actually, while I was in Israel, I was on a trip in Israel. But with us was a heart doctor that went to our church. So he kind of looked at me and said, "Take some more of your medication." I took medication, and then it went back into rhythm. And then it hasn't done it in 13 years. And then suddenly last week, I get out of bed, and I sit up, and suddenly it hits. I'm like, okay, because every once in a while, it'll do it for like 10 or 15 seconds and then go away. And this one didn't go away. And that was the third time in 19 years that it wouldn't go away. And so you have to go to the hospital, and they either give you medication to make it get back in rhythm. And if the medication doesn't get it back in rhythm, then they have to shock the heart back into rhythm. So put the paddles on you and clear. So that's where I was last week. I was in the hospital. I ended up getting an ambulance ride because I went to the wrong hospital. I have Kaiser, and I didn't know that you can go to any emergency room, and they'll treat you in an emergency room, and that'll be covered. But once you have to get checked into an actual hospital room, they have to check you in at San Joaquin Hospital because that's the Kaiser hospital. And I went to this Mercy Southwest, and so they're all, "We need to stabilize you." I go, "Does that mean like my wife can drive me?" They're like, "No, you'll have an IV in you, and we have to." I'm like, "Oh, an ambulance ride," and you know how all that works out. So,
Yep. Well, hey, but if you love your insurance,
you know what?
you know,
In the end, it's gonna be a few $100s and not thousands of dollars. So yeah.
wait, you
Yeah,
just wait.
palpitations. Jeffrey's asking. Palpitations, I guess is what it's called.
Yeah.
And you can feel them happening in your chest and stuff like that. But only when it's beating hard. Basically, it's just the shortness of breath and the danger of it getting a blood clot. So then they put me on blood thinners, and I get nosebleeds real easily. So all kinds of things. I'm getting old. I'm going to be 45 in November, and just getting old. And now my stack of medicines was this big, and now my stack of medicines is that big. So all of us are on drugs now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
And thank you for all your
I'm
wishes, well wishes, everybody who's commenting. Glad I'm okay and everything. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm glad I'm back on. I was discharged from the hospital. It went back into rhythm that night. I was discharged from the hospital Monday afternoon and been home and went back to work. And the doctors say it's not chronic because it has to happen. They said it's happened within 6 months. No, it's 3 times in 19 years. And they're all, I think it's paramoxial, whatever. It's a fancy medical term that means random. So it's not chronic, it's not acute, it's just, and there's nothing really that brings it on. So it could just happen at any time. So it's like waiting for an earthquake.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you feel well. I'm glad that you're better, and on with the show.
On with the show. Apparently you want me to shut up about my health and the weather. So So yes, we're talking about we were talking a couple of weeks ago or last Saturday or whenever it was, and you had mentioned something that I thought was a jab at the Electoral College. You had said a comment about how you don't like that somebody's vote in Iowa is worth 3 times as much as yours, or what's the math on that? Is it 3 times as much? What is it?
I may have said Wyoming. I
Or
think
whatever
Wyoming
it
is
was, yeah.
more than a factor of 3 to 1 to California. And I believe that fundamentally, if a person, if we have a democracy in this
Which we
country,
do not. So just
well, yeah,
clarifying you right there.
but we're a democratic republic
Right.
technically. The idea is everyone gets to vote,
Yep.
and if we
And
want
everybody
everyone's
does.
vote, I just think we should fundamentally have one person, one vote. And I think on many issues, the majority should simply rule, with frank exceptions, as outlined in the Bill of Rights.
But then it's not a republic. And so we need to have a republic. And that's why I stand on the side of republic. And you absolutely have to have, if you're going to be a republic, you have to have the Electoral College. If you're not going to be a republic, you want a straight up democracy, majority rule, but that's not what this Constitution is. That's not what this country is. So you want to fundamentally change what this country is. Yes?
No, no, the founding fathers literally had this debate over whether or not they would allow the people themselves to directly elect the president by
Yes.
majority
And in
vote.
the end, they
And that
decided
wasn't
that they
going to
wanted to
change
be
the
a
country from a
republic.
republic. It was still going to be a republic. A republic is where a country elects representatives who then make legislation on their behalf. And that's not going to change this country from being a republic by allowing the president to be elected by popular vote. It's not going to fundamentally change the fabric of our society. It's simply
It
going to
will.
allow everybody's vote to count 1 to 1. Instead, right now, my vote counts less than the vote of a person in a state like, again,
But
Wyoming.
but in a
And why
republic,
should I
that's
get one
okay.
third of the
In
voice?
a republic, that's okay because we're a republic. We are the United States of America.
A
We are the
republic
United
still, no.
States of
In a
America.
republic, your vote still counts because,
Yes,
again, in a republic, you are voting for your
but
representative, and
yeah,
representatives,
electoral
the
college. You
number
are
of
voting for your
representatives,
representative in the electoral college. It
no,
works the
the
same
number of
way.
representatives is directly tied to population, and
Yep.
again, these are the legislators. But
So
when
is
it
the
comes to
electoral
the elect,
college. So the electoral
okay,
college.
but this
They're
is
decided
different
by,
though. This is different because we're electing a president. We're not simply passing legislation.
right.
And so the
But
idea is the president has so much power, so much influence over the direction which a nation moves. I really think it should be one person, one vote. Why do you want person to count for 1/3 of another person?
then why have a Senate? It's fundamentally the same thing. Why have a
You,
Senate?
you have a Senate so that all of the states have their concerns equally weighed.
Yes, that's why exactly. We are the United States
But it's
of America.
balanced with the Congress,
And yes, it
whereas the
is.
Electoral College is not balanced with anything. It's just the Electoral College. And why should a person, when it comes to making a fundamentally important decision, such as who's going to be president, why should my vote count only 1/3 of the vote of a person who lives in a state like Wyoming?
Because we are the United States and you cannot remove the states. You cannot remove the vote of the states and you cannot remove the
That
view
doesn't
of
make sense.
Yes, it does, because every other branch is incumbent to the states. And the electoral
No,
college,
no.
yes,
It should be one person, one vote.
every other branch of government answers to the states. And all branches should answer to the states. Because we are the United States of America. The electoral,
Okay,
the electoral
I'm not
college.
sure this makes sense to me.
Yeah, the
But
electoral
at the end of the
college.
day,
But at the end of
one
the day,
person, one vote.
everybody has one person and one vote. We are a republic, and this is the United States. And you are,
Okay,
and
but those votes don't count.
they count the same.
equally.
Yes, they
they're
do.
not weighted
It's
equally.
the same thing as the Senate. It's the same exact thing as the Senate. If you have a problem with the
No, the
electoral
Senate
college,
does not choose the president.
does not matter. No. You're talking one vote equals one vote. You're okay with one vote not equal one vote with the Senate, but you're just not okay with it with one vote not equal one vote for the president.
Actually, I'm kind of not. Personally, I would prefer to not have any Senate at all and
Exactly.
have
You
direct
want
representation.
a democracy. That's what I'm saying. You want to
Yes.
fundamentally change the country. That's what you want. So this helps stop that. You want to fundamentally change the country to a democracy. But we have a republic, and we have a republic for a reason, and that is to stand in the way of tyranny of the majority. And in every other in the Congress, the states have a voice. You want to remove the voice of the states in the process of the one of the branches of our government. That
What is the voice of the state, however, other than the voice of the people?
it's the voice.
I agree that
Again,
we
that's a
need.
question. Then why not? Then why have a Senate? There has to be a voice
That's a
of the
great
states.
question.
Yeah, there has to be a voice of the states because we are a country that's a conglomerate of states. We are not a single country. That's why it's the United States of America, which is a state republic, not a. It wasn't founded to be a single federal government. It was founded to be a government based on the states coming together. So having the rights and the voice of the states is part of this country. It's part of what makes America America, parts of what makes the United States the United States. So the states should have a voice in all branches of the government. They currently have, they currently do. You cannot, the legislature is made of the representatives and the Senate, so that it's not all controlled by just the populace, not all controlled by just majority. You also have to have representation of the states. You have to have, that's what the Senate is for, so the states have a voice in the legislative process. Same thing with the judicial process. You can't get a judge unless it's passed by Congress. So who sits on the judicial branch is decided by a representative, and the states have a voice in that because the Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate have to have their voice and have to have their vote for an approval for who gets picked to be a judge and to sit on the Supreme Court. So in the legislative branch, you have the voice of the states. In the judicial branch, you have the voice of the states. And the Electoral College brings the voice of the states to the executive branch. That way, all three branches have a voice of the states involved so that we are the United States of America. We are not a democracy. We are a state republic.
So you're okay with a minority of people dictating the laws and the rules and the leadership that the rest of us have to live by? You're okay with that?
If it's a republic, yes. And that's the idea. If it's
regardless of whether it's a republic or anything else, you are fundamentally okay with a minority deciding what direction the country's going to go. Because that's the implication of your position.
Yes, because the minority must always be protected.
Well, what's the point of the Bill of Rights?
You don't believe in protecting minorities? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. What do you think is the point of the Bill of Rights?
The
Bill of Rights
hold on.
protects minorities.
You don't believe in protecting minorities?
Really? Come on. Come on.
Sorry, I had to put that in there.
My basic contention when it comes to government, the way all government should work, in my opinion, regardless of what we call it, whether we call it republic, democracy, what have you, regardless of whether I am advocating for a change, which I probably certainly am because I'm not too happy with the system we have in the status quo. I believe that the majority should rule with frank exceptions, and those frank exceptions are outlined in the Bill of Rights. And there should be a Bill of Rights.
And that's
regardless of where we go and what we do.
That's fine for you to want, but that's not what this nation is, and that's not what the Constitution is, and that's not what this nation was founded as. And wanting to get rid of the Electoral College is to fundamentally change what this country is and what this nation is.
I am not loyal to a bunch of dead guys.
No, I'm not.
Loyalty to. I don't.
No,
think they
but
should
I am loyal to the
rules
ideas.
by which we live today.
I am loyal to the ideas because the ideas made a.
Outmoded,
but they're not outmoded. That's your ignorance saying that it's outmoded.
Okay, so now you're going to call me names. Okay.
No, I didn't know. No. I said your ignorance. Did I call you a name?
When the United States
did I call you? Hold on. Did I call you a name?
Forget it. Forget about it. When the United States was established, we were a pioneer country. Mm-hmm. We were, dominated. It was a male-dominated society. We had the frontier available to people. We were largely a Christian society. People could go out onto the frontier and hack their living out of the wilderness. The ideas upon which they base this nation, the ideas of English philosophers like Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, and so on, these were people from the 17th and 18th century who came up with these ideas, and we brought all of this together and created what we felt was the best possible.
Hey, hold on just a second. I don't want to interrupt. I want to make sure. Can everybody still hear us? Because both my iPad and my iPhone froze up for a second. Is everybody still there? Can you hear us? So
Yeah,
respond.
I still hear us.
Okay, cool. So I just want to make sure if you guys can respond, see if we froze up. Sorry, continue. I'm sorry about that. I wanted to
Okay.
catch that.
So basically, my bottom line is we created the best country we could, based largely on Roman ideas. The Roman society, Roman Republic, is probably the greatest influence on the United States and our system of law and government here. And we created the system. But in the 200 something years since we wrote the Constitution and ratified it, we have had tremendous change in technology. There is no more frontier. There is no place for people to go to just hack their living out of the wilderness. Everything is gobbled up and owned by somebody else. The way the entire economy works is simply different. Yes, there's still fundamental laws such as supply and demand, but now you have the rise of corporate oligarchy, and it's these corporate interests that essentially control and run our government. And the end result is the common people have absolutely no voice in our system of government. I want to reform that, and that's why I believe it should be one person, one vote, not a third of a vote, not three votes, one person, one vote, and the majority should rule, again with frank exceptions. What we call that, whether we call that republic, democracy, or whatever, I don't care. Some new name, I don't care. But I personally believe that is the only just way to run a society. One person, one vote, majority rule, frank exceptions, end of sentence.
And that I have to. I'm surprised because I'm going to use this word. I believe that shows your ignorance. I can't believe as a history major, as a historian, you can't look back at the past and see how awful that democracies can be. That you have to have a representative republic that keeps the majority from ruling. And
Do you
keeps the
have an
majority.
example of an awful democracy?
No, you're right. I probably don't.
Okay.
I just know that was avoided. So I'm making the assumption that there are some,
Well,
but
well,
that's good.
direct democracy, as far as I know, hasn't existed since ancient Greece, and
Mhm.
even then, it still wasn't direct democracy because, again, it was still only men. I think it varied. At one time, it was landowning males. At other times, I'm sure there's a city-state somewhere that experimented with allowing all men to vote.
Either way, you know that
Right.
that democracy, one vote for one vote, equals tyranny of the of the majority. That again,
But
you
no,
can
it doesn't.
you can
Not
justify
if
slavery, you
not
can
if
justify anything you want as long as the majority of the people agree with it. And as long
no.
as the majority of people, because your frank exceptions can be changed by the majority when they want to,
No,
unless you're
no,
saying
that
the Constitution cannot be changed at all ever.
No, the frank exceptions cannot simply be changed by the majority because you get like a 51% vote. There might be some system whereby, yes, you do want to change certain rights that are guaranteed to the people, but in such a case, you can set it up so that it's a two-thirds vote or whatever. Maybe it has to be darn near unanimous.
Mm-hmm.
But again, any society can go down that path. American society could go down that path. If two-thirds of all the Americans in this country decide we want to have a socialist government and we're going to take the conservatives that are left over, round them up and send them to the gulag, there's not a shred of paper in the world that's going to protect anyone from that happening.
That's why I have my gun.
Well, and your gun isn't probably going to hold out. Okay, so the bottom line is if
Well,
enough
300
people
million
decide
of them might.
they want to collectively do evil, evil is going to be the result.
That's why
And
good people have to have the tools to be able to stand up against evil.
okay, and I'm not saying that you can't have your firearm. I don't want to make this a
I know.
firearm debate. But what I'm saying is basically your objection is a non-unique objection, meaning it could apply to any system of government.
Mm-hmm.
We could have Republicans and Democrats team up one day and say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and bring back slavery. It was great. And what can any of us do? They can team up and they can change the Bill of Rights. I think it takes, what, a two-thirds majority or
And
something?
the states.
You know,
And the states to ratify it.
And if
That's why
enough
it's so
people
important.
ratify it,
That's why
it
it's so
can happen.
important to keep the states having a say. Getting back to the Electoral College, it's so important to keep the states in having a say because that helps stop that. That helps prevent those types of things from happening. You want the states to be able to have as much say as possible so that it's very difficult for a centralized government to take over like that. The more
But when
power
all
you
of
put to the states, the better.
when all of the states are either Republican or Democrat, and when the Republican and Democrat parties
Right.
are
What
more
if?
the
What
same
if? What
than they
if?
are
If
different.
aliens come down and you're playing what if games. You're like, but one day the Republic they could all become one part. The only way your argument works is what if games.
Well, they are one party. When you take a look at the fundamental issues, they're both capitalist. They are
Yeah, but we're
both
not going to get into that
bought and
discussion
paid
again.
for.
We're not going to get into
Okay,
that discussion
but what I'm
again.
telling you is the only way that Republicans or Democrats are different is on superficial wedge issues that they dangle in front of us every 4 years to motivate us to vote for one side or the other. But then they never do anything about those
I
issues.
don't think those issues are as superficial as you're saying.
They're highly superficial. It's a game, Scott. Again, how many
Well,
times?
they're playing the game with the issues. I understand that, and they're trying to work them. But the issues are not as superficial as you're saying. They are fundamental. We're talking about
But the issues aren't going to be solved by either one of those
that.
parties.
Okay, that's a different argument.
Yeah.
But don't call them superficial issues. They're not
Okay,
superficial
fine.
issues. They're
Okay.
very important issues, and they're playing. I understand they're playing the game by pitting everybody against on those issues, but they're not superficial issues. And I don't want the other side of the aisle having their way in those issues. Those issues are important. Not and
Which is
they're
why you
different
should have
enough.
a Bill of Rights, which is why you have a Bill of Rights to protect things like life,
We
liberty,
do have
property.
a Bill of Rights protecting us from
Okay.
life, liberty, and property, and we still have people that say it's okay to kill babies and take away guns, even with the Bill of Rights. So your answer of that Bill of Rights is not an answer.
Every attempt to do that fails because when it gets to the courts uphold the Bill of Rights. So a Bill of Rights is the best, and frankly, it's the only workable mechanism we have to defend the rights of the minority. It works. It works in many other countries. We're not the only nation with a Bill of Rights. There's nothing wrong with having a Bill of Rights and entrusting.
But I believe equal. Excuse me. I believe an equally powerful barrier to tyranny of the majority is giving as much power to the states as possible, giving the states a voice.
And
Because
what's to say
that
decentralizes?
decentralizes.
But
You
the
want to
states also
decentralize
exercise
government.
tyranny of their own. Again, when you say that you're looking to these power structures to protect us from tyranny, whereas I want to go to democracy to protect us from tyranny, because the problem
Democracy
is
can lead to tyranny.
We have tyranny. We have tyranny right now.
It's easier to get to tyranny through democracy than it is through republic.
We have tyranny right now.
We do not have tyranny right now.
We absolutely
We do
When
not
my
have
vote
tyranny
doesn't
right now.
count, when my vote doesn't count,
Your vote absolutely
what do you
counts.
call that?
Your vote
no,
absolutely
it doesn't
counts.
count. It
Yes.
doesn't count. It's meaningless.
No,
It's
your
meaningless.
vote is
when my
never
vote
meaningless.
counts 1/3 of what somebody else in a state like Wyoming counts. That's
See,
tyranny.
again,
When
that's a logical
corporate
fallacy because you
interests-
have no problem with that happening in the Senate. You have no
When
problem happening that way.
corporate
It's a
interests-
representative government.
When
So
it's not representative.
Yes,
it's representative if you're a corporation.
No, it's representative. We're not getting into that. You're trying to go from your vote to now corporations. Your vote as far 1-to-1 as far as that's you're conflating two different things. Two different things. We're talking
Okay,
about
but all
vote
of this
1-to-1.
all of this is related, Scott.
I understand in your mind you think it is. But we're just tackling the idea of vote 1-to-1. And vote 1-to-1 is never the answer. You have to have a republic. You have to break that up as much as possible to decentralize that. You have to have regions be able to fight with regions. You have to be able to have these areas, these states, be able to have a voice so that the two most populous states don't tell everybody else how to live. The states have to have an individual voice. And the Electoral College puts the state's voice into the executive branch. Just like it's in the legislative branch, and just like it's in
the Senate does that. Well, okay.
The Electoral College puts
based on your representatives. The number of electors you get to the Electoral College are based on the number of representatives in the
Yes.
House. Article 2 of the United States Constitution.
Exactly. But if majority of that state says we want this person as president, that state now has a voice, an equal voice to any other state. You want to say 1-to-1? Now that state has an equal voice. Without the Electoral College, Iowa will never have the same voice as California or New York.
And why should it? It doesn't have
because
the
we
same
are the
population.
United States of
They still
America.
get-
It's
they-
a
their votes still
why
count
should
once
somebody
a
in Vermont? Why should somebody in Vermont have the same vote as somebody in Texas?
because that's how democracy works.
No. I'm saying why should they be more represented? When we have the Senate, that Vermont has 1.5 million people, and
It's not about the state. It's about the people.
It is about the state. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
California
The
isn't
state,
telling people how to vote. Texas isn't telling people how to vote. Vermont isn't telling people how to vote.
But they
with
are
the Electoral
voting.
College, Vermont, you're getting
they
11 swing states that are deciding the presidential outcome.
Yes,
You know,
but
who
isn't
gets to
that
be the
better?
next president?
Isn't that
No.
better? No, listen.
No.
Because yes, that's so
not
much
better.
Yes, it is. It's so much better because why are they swing states? Why are they swing states?
There should be no such thing as
Hold on.
swing
But
states
I'm
or
saying,
state anything.
I know, but why
It should be the American people choose a president.
Why
period.
are they swing states? Why are they called swing states?
Because those are the states where if the state's electors go one way or the other.
But why is it a
that
swing
determines-
state?
Because those states have almost equal division between
Yes.
Republican and
Don't you
Democrat.
want the argument to happen where it could have the possibility of swaying the best? Isn't it better to have the focus? Isn't it better to have the focus of of your election to be in the places where it is most equally representative of all people? Otherwise, your decision is made by the 3 biggest states. The populist vote means that the people who live in these 3 biggest states.
It's not
Yes.
made by the 3 biggest states. It's made by individual voters.
Right,
And you can
individual
pick up
voters who
voters
live in that
each
state, and they can. You have to give the states a voice, just like they have a voice in the Senate, just like they have a voice.
No.
Just like they have a voice in the
Dirt
legislature.
does not
just
vote.
Yes,
Dirt does not vote.
But the
state
state-
lines do not vote. I don't care about states. I care
I
about
know you don't care
people.
about states because you don't care about the United States.
I care about people.
I care.
I don't care. I care about people above the United States.
Right,
because
but
people is what it's all
you
about.
don't actually
when you
care
take
about
your
people.
eye off people.
You don't
and
actually
you
care about
start-
people. You don't
Yes.
actually care about people because you are leading them to a place to where a centralized government has control. But that's what you want because you believe you know what's best.
What do you think we
for
have in
people.
the status
No,
quo? We have a corporate oligarchy has control right now.
You believe you know what's best for everybody. Yes?
No.
Yes.
No, that's why I want the majority to vote.
Yes, because you don't want the majority to vote if they don't agree with you. You don't want the majority to rule if they don't agree with you. Right now, you're seeing blood in the water, and you're saying, "Hey, we have an opportunity that maybe the majority might get us where I want to go." You want to change the country.
Where I want to go anyway.
You want to change the country.
We're going where I want to go anyway.
And that's why, and I see that.
So-
I see that's what you're
so
trying
I
to
don't even
do.
have to have
and
this
you're trying
debate.
to
It's
alter
locked
the
in.
Constitution to do it, and that's what I want to stand against because you believe that the government knows what's best for people. You believe that the government that is set up by a majority should tell the minority how to live. You believe that.
No, you want
believe
states
that.
which are bought and paid for by corporate interests to tell the people how to live.
States are not
That's
bought
way
and
more
paid.
tyrannical than the majority. Look, I think one person gets one vote. It should be counted as one vote, not 3 votes or a third of a vote or anything else. One person, one vote. The majority rules. There are frank exceptions, as outlined in the Bill of Rights, where the majority doesn't get a voice.
You have no
That's why
understanding
you
of how
have
the
Bill
world
of
works.
Rights.
I am so surprised. You have no understanding. Like I am so shocked that you have no sense of history. No sense of history on why this is so bad.
Do you disagree that the United States is
so
oligarchy?
bad?
You disagree that the United States is a corporate oligarchy?
I disagree in your solution. I do believe there's a problem.
Why
Your
should
solution
states be placed above people?
leads to what history has
doesn't
shown.
Dirt doesn't vote, Scott. Okay? So at the end of the day, people vote, and people should be the ones who decide.
And representatives of the state should have a voice. Absolutely. Otherwise, we are not a United States. We are not a state republic.
Representatives of the state are the citizens of that state.
No,
And
representatives
they
of the
each
state.
get one vote.
The representatives of the state, just like the Senate, that's a representative of the state. There should be representatives of the state who vote for the sake of the state. That's who it is. It's not dirt. It's representatives of that state. That here are all these people in this state who come together in this state and want this to happen. They all get an equal voice to another state. It's the same reason why we have a Senate. Exact same reason why we have a Senate. So that the power can be distributed. It's the exact same reason.
From states where tens of millions of people live,
yes,
and hand it to states where hundreds of thousands of people live.
Yes, that's a republic.
Wow,
that's a representative republic.
Socialist now, huh?
No, because that's a decentralization of government. That's a decentralization that helps fight a
decentralizing it in small states.
Right, it's decentralizing it. It's spreading it. Okay. It's spreading it to more states. Literally, it's spreading to the power to more states and not isolating in your 3 most populous states. It's spreading the power and decentralizing.
Direct democracy has nothing to do with states. You keep saying that the most populous states are going to decide the outcome.
They are.
The people are going to decide the outcome, and it doesn't matter what state they live in.
Yes, it does.
It's one person, one vote. There's nothing.
That's
to do
why
with
we
states.
are a United States.
Nothing to do with states.
It's states' rights.
Talking about states.
States' rights. Yes, states' rights. We are a united.
I'm not interested in states' rights.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
Rights.
I know you're not interested in states' rights, and that's the problem. Your argument, the way you want to go, leads away from what makes this country great and what made this country work.
States don't have rights. States aren't even
states'
people.
Rights.
They're fictional entities that we draw, on a map.
And that's fine. And that's fine. However,
people have rights.
Yes, but the states should have rights in the United States of America. In this country, with our Constitution, the reason this works so well is because we've decentralized. Yeah, that's fine. There is no actual state. That's fine. It's the idea of decentralizing government. And the way we decentralize government is to spread.
Give everybody
No, that's not how you decentralize government. The way you decentralize government is that you divide the power amongst the whatever provinces, states, whatever.
You trust the state to hold your power in trust.
I have to.
You trust the state of California.
I would rather.
The state of California.
I would rather be able to have a voice in a state, and then that state be able to have an equal voice in the country. Yes, even as a conservative who lives in California, who hates California law, who can't stand to be in it, I still appreciate the principle of why we have that, and I know that it's necessary. I have principles. You do not. I'm not meaning that as an insult. You have said that.
Different principles.
No, you don't have. No, you don't have principles. You said you said you have used the word. What's the word that you have used? You've used the word that you're basically the end justifies the means. What's the word? You're utilitarian.
Yeah.
You're utilitarian, which means as long as the outcome is what you think is right, then how we get there is not a problem. I believe how we get there is the principle that we should live by. And that the government should be decentralized. That part of the genius of what made this country great and originally was the idea of decentralizing power. And to decentralize power, you make it to where these regions have an equal voice, that the people in those regions have an equal voice so that you can decentralize that power and spread it across such a giant nation. And it's really, really important to do that.
Well, actually, your proposal is to simply decentralize power across 50 states, which means times 50.
Yeah,
whereas
which is better than one.
I would rather decentralize it times 330 million people.
But
so
again,
who's really decentralizing power
you're
more?
Not decentralizing. You're not decentralizing power because what you're doing is you are saying everything that we have that's wrong with government, everything that you say is wrong with government. You are going to, if you put it to just the populace, you are now going to put that government in the hands of just these regions. They don't have to care. They don't have. Yes, they don't. They don't have to care. They don't have to care about any other part of the country. They don't have to care. They don't have to write laws. They don't have to do anything for any other place except that area. That those people who live in those cities can then say, "Hey, we want this. We want that. We want this," and has an adverse effect. I'm not talking about rights. I'm not talking about the things that are going to be in your.
We're talking about the Electoral College, Scott, and you're acting like we're going to abolish the Senate. At no point are we contending that we're going to abolish the Senate. We're just saying the Electoral College.
Right. That we have.
There's still going to be a Senate.
We have to keep.
Still a
we
Senate,
have to spread power.
And if there's still a Senate, then the Senate is still going to represent the interests of the states when it comes to legislative authority and making legislative decisions. But when it comes to the Electoral College, choosing a president, I believe it should be one person, one vote. I don't believe it should be 50 states, 50 votes, or some other little, 500 something votes based on, the representatives. I think it should simply be direct democracy, one person, one vote. That's it.
Do states have different needs?
I'm sorry, what?
Do states have different needs? Jeffrey just asked that. Do states have different needs?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so
Yeah,
why
I would
so
agree.
why would you not have the presidency answer to those needs? Why would
Because
you
it
not have the
does.
presidency? It does
does.
not. It
At
does
what
not.
point each person gets a vote?
It does
And
not.
again,
It all
we're
the
just electing
presidency
a
the
president by
presidency
this means.
the
We're
presidency
not
only
eliminating the Senate.
the president. Right, but why would you want to eliminate the voice of the states in the presidency if they have
Because-
different needs?
because-
You just said states do have different needs. Yes,
They do, and
yes.
there is
So
a
why
mechanism to
eliminate
provide-
that voice?
And there is a mechanism to provide those states with a voice when it comes to legislation.
And currently, it applies to all three branches. Why do you want to take it away from one branch?
The Electoral College is not a branch of government.
No, I'm saying, come on, you know what I'm saying. You want to take away the state's voice in one branch of government. Right now, it currently all three branches of government, the states have a voice. The only voice the states have in the executive branch is the Electoral College. If states have needs and they have different needs, and you've acknowledged that, why would you not want the president to have to take those needs into account when running for the presidency? Why would you not want the president? The president does not have to ever care or answer to the questions of any of the other states other than the two most populous states, or maybe three most populous states. Why would you?
How
Why
is that different from right now, where 14 of the least populous states get all of the care and consideration?
Because the ones that are already more populous already have the vote. That's already there. You are asked, there is no question. Those populous states have already decided. Those populous states have already given their vote. So why stop there? You're saying that's good enough. The president doesn't have to listen to any other voices of anybody else in any other region. This is adding a reason for the presidency to consider the votes of the people. The president doesn't have to consider the votes of the people without the Electoral College. He only has to consider the three most populous states and the people in those states, and never have the president. You're wanting to get rid of the Electoral College, which takes away the voice of the people who live in the other states for the presidency. That the president
But
never.
right now, the
president,
voice of the people who live in the most populous states is unheeded.
No, it already is heated. Their voice already gives that many electoral votes. Their voice already has that huge chunk already answered for. Their voice is already heard. Why don't you want to let the other states have their voice? Why don't you want the president to have to answer to the needs of other states when those states, as you've acknowledged already, have different needs? Why do you want the president to not ever have the presidency, a third of our government never have to ever consider what happens in the rest of the states? They never have to even address it. Where they already have the big states. They're already there. They're already in the pocket. They're already represented. Why don't you want the president to have to consider the other states? Because they never will. They never will have to consider the needs of the other states for the presidency. That's what the Electoral College, that's why the voice of the states is so important in all three branches of the government. So that the presidency, just like the legislature and just like the judicial branch, the presidency still has to answer to the people who live in the states that are underrepresented. That's what gives the people in those states any voice to the presidency. Because yes, they can vote for whatever president they want, but the president doesn't feel any pressure to do anything for them, for their vote. The president never has to address those smaller states. The president never has to try to get their vote. The president never has to try to compromise to work with them. The president simply can say, well, the people in these two states are happy with me. That's all I have to care about. And they never have to give representation. The president never has to give representation to the people in the smaller states without the Electoral College.
I feel, however, Scott, that we have this problem just in reverse in the status quo, because you don't see people running for president making stops in the big states. They're certainly not visiting the smaller communities in the big states.
They already have the votes.
Right,
They are
because they're obsessed with the concerns of these 11 swing
no, they
states,
all they
and that's it.
no because they are the
So aren't we just switching one for the other then?
no because the big ones will always have the attention of the president, whether he shows up there or not. The big states will always have the attention of the president.
But
They will always, because that's where the majority of the people are. They will always have the voice of the ear of the president. The large states will always have the ear of the president. The Electoral College forces the president to have to listen to to people who live in the smaller states for their needs, because they have different needs. The different regions have different needs. And if the president never has to answer to the needs of the smaller states, to the people in the smaller states, never has to address it, they will always be represented by the larger states. And the larger states will always have representation in the presidency and in the executive branch. This gives power to the people of the smaller states to have the ear of the president. That's why it's important.
But the small states are still represented by the Senate.
Right, but why do you want to take away the ear of the president to the smaller states? Why do you want to do that? You want to take away the ear of the president. The president never has to listen to the people who live in the smaller states.
Shouldn't the president have to listen to all the people, not just the people in 11 states?
Yes, he should. And he never will without the force of the power of the states. He will only pay attention to the people who live in those larger states.
Well, right now they're only paying attention to the people in the small states. So what is it?
No, they're not.
Should the majority then determine, or the minority determine?
The bigger states are already overly represented. The bigger states, I mean, it's like it's literally preaching to the choir. You don't have to preach to the choir. You're sitting there at church in the choir complaining about why the pastor is not giving you attention. You're in the choir. You work for the church. You're already part of the inner circle, and you're complaining, well, the pastor doesn't turn around and preach to me. You're already in the choir. The bigger states are already in the choir. They already have the ear. You want to take away the president's ear from the needs of the people in the smaller states. We need the convention of the Electoral College to keep the president to listen to the little people.
And you're saying the Senate is not sufficient to do that?
The Senate, well, again, it needs to happen in all three branches of government. Why don't you want one branch of the government not listening to a large section of the people? Why do you not want the president to listen to an entire section?
Well, the president does have to listen to everybody. I just want the president to listen to everyone equally, not just people in small states.
But the Electoral College is the only thing that gives any voice to the people in small states, because the people in big states already have a voice. They're in the choir. They already have a voice. The Electoral College is the only thing to give any voice to the people who don't live in a populous area. And that's really important, to keep that and maintain that in all three branches of government.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, that's a compelling argument.
I told you I had something that I don't think most people have talked about.
It is a compelling argument, which I haven't quite heard before, and it makes a lot of logical sense. I don't want to just come out and outright hand this one to you. That's just too easy. I still need to mull it over in my mind. But again, my fundamental issue is that some voices are being heard, others are not, and I want all voices to be heard equally.
And I think you and I want the same thing. I just see the convention of the Electoral College as the only way for certain voices to ever be heard by the executive branch.
Well, and if that's true, then there might be something to it you are offering here.
Okay.
So again, it's something which I think will require more thought on my part. So I'll say that. But at the end of the day, I do want all people to have voice. I have a real issue.
And I do too. How we get there is how we're different.
I have an issue with one person's vote counting only 1/3 of someone else's vote. Fundamentally, to me, that almost sounds like an injustice. But at the same time, if the president is ignoring the concerns of smaller voices, smaller states, that's also fertile ground for injustice.
Yep.
And I certainly don't want injustice. So maybe it's a compromise. Maybe it's something that could be, tweaked or whatever. I'm not going to say that there are not better ideas out there. But for the time being, I think I will evaluate this and give it some thought, which is
Well,
all right.
that's what our whole show is about. Our whole show
There you go.
Is about talking. And I just want to say this here. I mean, I want to get into the gun debate, but I thought it was really great that, I don't know if you saw on the news, that Alyssa Milano and Ted Cruz sat down and talked about guns. Did you hear about that?
No.
They went to kind of a Twitter battle, and they ended up, one invited the other. I don't know who did, but they were surprised. The other one said, okay, yeah, let's meet. And they literally met together. Ted Cruz, Alyssa Milano met together. And in the end, Alyssa Milano walked away saying, we disagree fundamentally in everything, but I realize he's a human being. And I realized that, and it's like, yes, if we all just sit down, you can get people as radically on opposite sides of an issue. If they sit down in front of each other, they can realize the other person's a human being. And it's surprising that before they met, that she actually thought he just hates people and wants people to die. Like, literally, that's what that's the only reasoning that she could have, that why would anybody want? And then when they sat down, they realized, okay, this person actually does care. They are a human being. We disagree on how to fix it, but everybody's a human being. We just disagree on how we're going to fix it. We all do want the same thing. If we all just sit down, that's what the show is about. I'm glad we're able to do it. Thank you for joining us, everybody. This has been A Valid Answer with Scott and Marshall. We're here on Sundays at 5, right here on Valid Answer on Facebook, kerncast.com, kerncast on Facebook, unless one of us ends up in the hospital. So until next time, thank you for joining us, Marshall.
Have a good one.
All right,
Thank
you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.